Staff reviews are super underrated. If you go to Indeed right now, whatever company you're in or whatever industry you're in, if you look up 5 local companies that are in your same industry on Indeed, I bet they have less than 5 reviews. I bet most of them have 0 reviews. So if you just have 1 review, 2 reviews, 3 reviews, you're already going to be way ahead of the competition. And it's just like when we market to a customer, it's like when we're trying to get in front of our customer, these guys have to have trust. And staff reviews is a way to really do that. That's underutilized, that you can use more, not just on your job board, but also in your text messages leading up to the interview, or you can put them on the wall or put them on your website or put them on social media. There's ways to utilize that to get in front of candidates and show them you're awesome to work for. We developed a tool to help us link directly to Indeed to solicit these interviews. And in a second, once we get done with this, I'm going to show you our exact framework on how we have our dripped emails and text messages to collect reviews. So basically it's going to be in order to get staff reviews to display, I'm going to show you the process that we use called the feedback formula on how we get staff reviews. I would like for you guys to work on a framework that's going to allow you the ability to have your own automated, or at least your own campaign to solicit staff reviews. At the end of this, I'm going to have a QR code on the screen. And if you scan that QR code, it's going to be a Google Drive. And that Google Drive folder, you just ask request access. And I'm going to have a bunch of things like this for you. Okay. So right now, this is our feedback formula. This is a blank one. Okay. And we're going to go over what this means. But I'm also going to have some tools in there to help you collect this review. I'm going to have an SOP on how to connect to a hiring page, like actually talk to Indeed and how to get that set up. I'm going to have an outline on the sponsored job ads. So that way, all this information, because again, I'm opening the book today, like we're going over a ton of high level stuff. But if you need to sit with it, you're going to have this in a QR drive or a QR code in Google Drive later. Okay. So with this being said, number one, I want to talk about creating a framework on our feedback formula to solicit staff reviews. What is that process? If you guys are familiar with Nice Job, they have a series when they're trying to collect reviews of emails and text messages. This is very similar, but it needs to be geared towards your staff, not your customers. So this is going to be the feedback formula. You'll see here, we've got a quick description, and then this is going to be incentive theme ideas. So here is going to be like, hey, what are some good ideas that you think would allow us to be able to get a staff review? Here is going to be the days that you should spread them out. So this is the one part that I went ahead and filled in because I felt like this is a good sequence, because you don't want to hit them every single day. You don't want to hit them every single day, but you do want to hit them with a certain period of frequency. So as we work through this, I want you guys to write these things down. Last thing, this little corner here is going to be the channel of communication. And I'll show you what I mean in a second. All right. So number one, write down some incentive and theme ideas. So for your company or just period, I would love for you guys to write down some incentives or themes that you would like to put in a text message, email, chat, Facebook, whatever way you communicate with your team to solicit a staff review. I've got a couple here. $10 incentive for leaving a review, story and how it helps future staff, why reviews are important, how it can impact our future. Maybe we just request feedback instead of a review. We could do a smiley face rating. We could do an internal newsletter shout out as an offering, a gift card, a bunch of things like that. So once we've got some ideas, now we have to plug in what channels make the most sense, right? So we want to think about this. I like to think about channels first instead of themes, mainly because I don't want to hit them too much in the same channel. I want to make sure that the channel is appropriate. So for here, I've wrote down a couple of things. Day one, whenever I put you in this campaign, I'm going to text you and email you. I'm going to give it a day gap, and then I'm going to chat you. And that's going to be if you're in Slack, you can automate this. If you're in a different chat app, like a Connect team or something, you may not be able to automate this. You may have to manually reach out. But you would reach out and say, hey, can you do X, Y, and Z? Can you leave a review? And we'll talk about what it looks like here in a second. Day 4, I may just send an email. If I still haven't got a staff review, I'm going to give it 4 days. I'm going to email you and call you. And it depends on how you like to utilize this. This phone, when you give a call, could either be a call from your office manager, a team leader, or it can even be a ringless voicemail. You could automate a ringless voicemail. It really depends on how much you want to have a personal touch versus an automated touch. If you're smaller and you don't have a ton of staff, I would call them. I would call them and you're going to get better results. If you are larger and you've got a lot of people and you're not quite as hands-on, I would probably just do a ringless voicemail. That way they see a voicemail, they hear it. Hey, this is Logan Hope from the Dream Plan team. Really hope you've enjoyed working with me. It means a ton to me if you could leave a review. I sent you a link in your email. Can you please check that? If you have any questions, let me know. If there's any reason you want to give us a 5-star, I definitely want to know. So just give me a heads up. Thanks so much. And I click it. And then they would go in, check their email. They'd have a link, go from there. And I may even tell them what to search. There's a certain subject. Hey, just search review the Dream Clean team and it should pop right up. That way, if it's in spam, it'll still pop up. And then I'll give it after that. I feel like that's a pretty personal touch. I'm going to give that 6 days. So after 6 days, I'm just going to email them. And then I'm going to hit them back-to-back days, email and a text. And then after that, day 20, I'm going to do an SMS and an email. Day 25, email. Day 30, SMS, email. So what you can do is you can go through here and you can plug in whatever channels you use. And maybe if you think there's too much email or too much text, you can play with this to optimize it. This is just what works for us. This is how we were able to get 53 staff reviews on Indeed. Next, now we actually plug in the content, okay? So I have plugged in what we currently do, okay? And just so you know, the first 2 or 3 messages in that QR code with the file, I will have a SMS and email template. So that way, whenever you look at it, you can see the exact message that we send out. So if you want to copy paste it, you're more than welcome to do that. But you will see the example message that we do. But I also encourage you to utilize your own messaging that's more specific to your brand. So day 1, would you recommend us to a friend? Very simple. Low-hanging fruit, would you recommend us to a friend? Now, this is where I start taking all of these incentives and themes, and I start plugging this into this framework. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, okay, $10 incentive. I would plug that into day 3. If you haven't left me a review after I asked and I gave you 2 days and you haven't did it, oh, did you know that you can have $10 just for leaving us a review, good or bad, doesn't matter, just like Google, incentive to leave a review. Then I'm going to have why it's important, why reviews are important. I've decided to add here, day 4. This is why reviews are important. I've given it 4 days. Now I'm emailing phone. Did you see my last message? I'm calling, right? Hey, I asked you to leave a review. You haven't done it yet. Everything okay? Did you see my last message? Did you not see it? Is there something you don't like? And then I went through it, gave it 6 more days, almost a week. Life gets busy. If they still haven't left a message, that means they haven't responded to my phone call. They haven't checked my email. I was gonna say, hey, I get it. Hey, we're all busy, but if you're able to, please leave a review. Next, I'm gonna talk about the very next day, I'm gonna talk about a staff story of a life change. So I'm gonna have a review where I talk about, hey, did you know that Jill, your team leader, Jill was awesome. Jill actually almost did apply with us. She was a little bit nervous and she had a job offer between us and another company and she almost didn't apply with us. But I'm so glad that she did. Listen to Jill, why she applied to us. And then I would have some kind of like excerpt of either her talking about how it's the best cleaning company she's ever worked for, or she loves it here, or she couldn't believe how awesome this place, whatever that thing is. And if I don't have that, then you can still tell her story and leave her review. But you want to have a staff story of a life change. So that way we're like, oh, okay, actually it is important. Because that person that I love so much on this team actually almost wasn't here. So that's super helpful. Next, we're getting to the end of this. And at this point, if they haven't left a review, we're 2 weeks in and we're really just going to try a couple times more spaced out, hopefully to make one last ditch effort to get a review. The feedback request at day 20, I'm going to say, hey, I've noticed you still haven't left us a review on Indeed. I'm assuming that there's something that you're not super happy with. Can you tell me what that is? And then either I could have a form or I could have some kind of smiley face. And I try to do something like that, right? So it's neutral, smiley, mad. And they can just do it right there. And at least it lets me know if they're not happy. And if they're not happy, I'm going to call that person and be like, hey, what's going on? Or they can fill out the form, give me feedback. Why are you upset? What's going on? How can we improve? And we're just going to build on that. Some people have legitimate things to improve upon. Other people don't. So it depends on what you want to do there. Then I'm going to say, hey, day 25, our newsletter's coming out next week. Would really like to have a shout out. If you've left a staff review, could you please let me know? Because I want to put it in our staff newsletter. And if not, you can do that by end of day. I forgot 5 days here. End of day in 3 days. And I'm going to put that in the newsletter with your name on it. Hope that's okay. And then, people like that. Some people like being seen and heard. So that also helps. And then day 30, basically it's going to be, last call. I know I messaged you several times. If there's anything we can improve upon, let us know. Really, really care. It really, really matters to me that we know how we're doing with you, because we want to treat you like family. We want you to love us. We want to love you. If there's anything we can do, let us know. And then I just let it be at that point. Okay. So you can fill all of this in. You can fill all this in with your own information, but this is just how I do it. So you can fill all this in with your own information, but this kind of gives you an idea. And again, I'm going to have a couple of templates so you can see those messages.